Story time, how my best friend tried to kill me 10 years ago to this day. Now, I ain't never told this story publicly, like on a platform, but decade later, felt it was only right. So, boom, it's 2015. I'm a senior in college. I'm at Georgia State University in Atlanta. And my boys come to me. They like, yo, spring break, what we on? So, you know me, I come from like a sheltered background where I didn't really get the opportunity to do a lot of spring break throughout high school and college. So, senior year, finna graduate, I'm like, bet, it's up, what we on? Like, what y'all got? So they tell me, they like, yo, we gonna go up north. We was in Atlanta at the time. They were saying we're gonna go to North Georgia. We gonna get a boat. We gonna ski, zip line, like all of this like fun stuff. And I'm 21 at the time. Haven't really went out a lot, so I'm like, bet, let's do it. So this is spring break 2015. So basically, finals are right around the corner, right? The semester's about to be over, but it's spring break. As soon as you come back, you got finals and stuff, whatnot. So I'm keeping all of this in my head, and then finally the day comes for me to jump in the car and make this 4-hour drive north with 4 of my friends that I grew up with. It's funny, they picked me up at night. We were gonna go stay at one of my friends, we'll just call him Sean. We were gonna stay at Sean's grandmother's house in North Georgia while we get ready to go skiing and doing all this fun stuff the next day, like the next couple of days. Mind you, Sean is white, i.e. his grandmother's obviously white too. So they arrive at my house in Grayson, Georgia, is where I was living at the time. And I'll never forget, my mom walked me to the door. She's been retired since the 90s, so like we 20. So she walks me to the door, and I'll never forget, I walked out the door, I gave her a hug, and I was just feeling like this weird feeling. Like, at 21, you don't really know. At 21, I didn't really know how important gut feelings was. So I had this gut feeling that's like, no, like, don't get in the car. But, you know, I'm a young jit at the time. I don't do much, like spring break with the boys up north. No, I can't say no. This shit getting long. Life for part 2.
This was supposed to be a peaceful day on the water, but it turned into a fight for his life. A young black man invited on a boat trip by so-called friends ends up fighting to survive after a shocking, racially charged betrayal. What started as laughter turned into violence. This isn't just a story, this is about trust, survival, and the horrifying reality that your greatest threat might be sitting right next to you. This story, like too many others, begins with trust and ends with trauma. We're talking about a black man, invited onto a boat by white friends, only to be isolated, cornered, and violently attacked in open water. Ask yourself why, what made them turn on him, and why does this keep happening?
All right, let's dive right in. Part 2, story time of how my best friend tried to take my life 10 years ago, yesterday. So we finished out by talking about that gut feeling I had. I walked to the door with my mom, gave her a hug and kiss, started walking down the porch steps, and I felt that gut feeling. Don't get in the car, Mark. Don't get in the car. But one thing about gut feelings is they come and they go. And if you don't act on it right then and there, you run the risk of it fleeting. So what do? I keep walking. I get in the car. And just like that, we're on our way to North Georgia. Now, we're headed to Hiawassee. This is a sundown town. So if anybody knows anything about those towns, racist. But I'm not worried. I'm with my boys. And, you know, we're talking about school, finals, girls, sports, all types of things. So, in other words, I'm feeling comfortable. Now, I will note one of the guys in the group, Xavier, I'll call him Xavier, he snitched on me in a court case in 2012. Mind you, all of this happened in 2015, the attempted murder, but in 2012, he snitched on me, and then I forgave him. Actually, one of the other guys in the group snitched on me as well, and I also forgave him. We'll call him Julio. So just to recap, Sean is the individual. I'm going to stay at his grandmother's place. We're all going there. Sean's the designated driver up there. Xavier is someone that snitched on me a couple of years ago. We got static. Julio snitched on me as well, but we don't necessarily have static at this point at all. When we touch down, first night is solid. Like, we're staying at Sean's grandmother's crib. She's nice. We wake up in the morning and poof, like, it's time to go ski. Skiing was dope. We went and got food after skiing. This first day, none of the vibes were particularly off, but we were going back to a remote cabin in the woods that we had rented instead of going back to Sean's grandmother's place. So we got back to the remote cabin and it was time for bed. Well, I had my own room, so I go in my room and I knock out. Part 3 coming. Part 3, how my best friend tried to take my life and kill me in a sundown town 10 years ago. And here's a quick picture with their faces blurred out of us the morning of. I almost lost my life. So boom. Once we got back to the cabin, I ate. I went to my room. I had my own room. And I knocked out. Now when I woke up, I came outside my room and everybody was doing their own thing. Some people pre-gaming, some people getting ready for the boat reservation. I peep the scene, I say what's up to everyone. And vibe was a little off, but I jump in the shower. Now when I get outside the shower, the keys to the car are locked inside the car. We're waiting for a locksmith at this point. 45 minutes goes by, locksmith comes, we jump in the car, we start going to the boat reservation. And here's where everything started to take a really, really weird turn. We get to the boat dock. Xavier's drunk, visibly drunk. Instructor comes onto the boat, but doesn't give us any instructions. Just points to the boat, and we get on the boat. As we get on the boat, I make the joke, Xavier damn sure can't drive. So then we take off. Now we're going about 60 miles per hour on the boat. We've got a bottle of Crown and some PBR beer. I crack open a PBR, and I had long hair at this point, so I walk toward the nose of the boat, kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio in Titanic, and I'm just taking it all in, basking in the moment. I turn around, grab my phone out of my pocket, and I toss it to Julio, who's right there at the first seat. I pose for the picture, but as I'm posing, I see all of this commotion going on behind Julio. So, ignorantly enough, I don't look because I'm taking the picture. So I stay focused on the picture. And then I look behind him. Xavier's bogarting Sean out of the driver's seat, throwing him to the ground, jumps into the driver's seat of the boat. And all I see is his hand, his arm like this. And I hear, "I'm the captain now." And he's looking me square in the eyes. He takes his hand and he goes like this. When he goes like this, all I feel behind me is like things start to shake on my end. And what happened was he put the boat in reverse while I was standing in the nose of the boat, which caused the boat to decelerate, making the back end of the boat go up, the bottom end of the boat go down, and me go right over with my momentum over the bow of the boat, hitting the water back first. And then I fell in the water. And then when I fell in the water, the boat ran me over. My body got tangled in the propellers, and in the moment, I remember feeling my body do a 360. I had no idea what happened. But in hindsight, it was the propellers ripping my clothes off my body, spinning me around. The police later found my clothes tangled in the propellers underneath the boat. After that, I don't remember anything until I felt the heat on my neck, that Georgia heat, and in my face. And I came to and I started swimming toward the boat because I thought immediately, oh, I fell off the boat. I got to get back. I didn't know how much time had passed or anything. I didn't know. I was just unconscious. I swim back to the boat, not knowing that I'm hurt at all. I get back to the the back of the boat where the ladder is, and I start climbing up. Once I start climbing up, I realize my arm is shredded. My wrist is cut from side to side. I can see bone, flesh, everything, and I start panicking. But nothing could have prepared me for what I saw when I got back to the top of the boat. All right, we diving back in, part four, how my best friend tried to kill me in a sundown town 10 years ago. So I'm swimming back to the boat. I don't know that I'm hurt. I get to the back of the boat, I climb up the ladder, and I get to the top of the boat where everybody's at. As soon as I get to the top of the boat, I see pretty much everybody on the boat, the other four guys, throwing all the alcohol off and throwing things off of the boat. Immediately, I thought, why are they doing that? And as soon as I started like to think that, I was about to say something, blood comes trickling down my forehead, and then another line. And so I put my hand on my head, and then I pulled my hand back, and it was obviously all bloody, and then I started to panic. At that same time, I looked down. I saw that the propeller had cut my arm from my armpit all the way to my elbow. My bone was hanging out, and then obviously my wrist was cut from side to side. My head was cut. I had all these gashes all over my body, but I didn't feel any of this when I was in the water. So at this point, Julio takes his shirt off, runs over to me, starts wrapping my body up with his shirt. First, he wraps my head, then he wraps my arms. At this point, I'm screaming, blood curdling screams. I'm thinking that I'm gonna lose my arm. My head is obviously cut extremely bad by the broke propeller. I'm shocked. I'm concussed. I don't really know what to think. So we're in the middle of a lake in a sundown town. I have no idea what to do. The first mistake that the guys made that were on the boat is they didn't immediately call 911. But eventually, the designated driver, Sean, did call 911 and we rushed back to the boat dock. Once we got back to the boat dock, paramedics and ambulance were already there. They immediately took me and put me into a helicopter and life flighted me for emergency surgery to Erlanger Hospital in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Once I got to the hospital, I was expecting my friends to be there, but they weren't. Then I went into surgery. I came out of surgery. I was expecting my friends to kind of be in the room or at least on the way, and they weren't. They never showed up. Not only did my friends never show up to visit me in the hospital, no one jumped in the water to save me. No one jumped in the water when I was concussed and just laying in the water, about to drown and die. No one, on top of that, they were throwing all of the liquor and my stuff off of the boat. On top of that, no one helped me climb back up the ladder. I literally had to climb the ladder with a slit wrist and an arm that was cut to the bone from the armpit to my elbow. Now, who did show up? My parents showed up. They came, they got there right before surgery. They obviously drove me back down to our house in Grayson, Georgia, and I've never felt so much emotion and love in my life. The next morning, after I got home that night, there was a line of people at our front door, and it was like a movie. My parents were letting people up into my room one by one upstairs, and they were all just coming to give me a hug. And people that didn't know me and people that did know me, and I had never felt so humbled in my life, and I've never felt so loved in my life. Part five, story time. How my best friend tried to kill me 10 years ago in a sundown town. All right, let's dive right in. So, last time we left off, I was getting out of the hospital. The whole community of Grayson, Georgia showed up at my front door to comfort me, give me hugs and kisses after I got out the hospital and got back home. None of the homies, none of my friends that were on the boat with me came to visit me in the hospital, and none of them came to visit me at home either, except one, that was Julio. Again, Julio was the one that stripped his clothes off and tied me up everywhere that I was bleeding and had lacerations, so I did respect him for that, and I still do. There were 5 people on the boat, including me. 3 of the people lied to the police when we got back to the boat dock while I was being life flighted to Erlanger Hospital. And Julio's the only one that didn't lie to the police and didn't say anything. And so because 3 of them lied to the police, nobody got breathalyzed. This incident was so graphic and so troublesome, even for the sundown town, that the actual authorities in Hiawassee, Georgia in 2015 decided to pursue this, and the district attorney took up the case. So, in other words, me and my family didn't have to file any charges. In the end, Xavier got charged with boating under the influence causing great bodily harm, and perjury. Sean ended up getting charged with perjury. There was another guy in the boat that I didn't mention throughout the story. We'll call him Yankee. He was also charged with perjury. Julio was not charged in the incident because he did not lie to the police, nor did he cause the accident. I ended up losing all my friends, and this caused me to go into depression. I dealt with anger issues for years and years after this. Now in my 30s, and I'm finally at a point where I don't have anger issues. I don't need to speak with the behavioral therapist anymore. But this was an event that caused great damage to my mental health. Xavier ended up doing, I think, about 6 months in jail, if that. I ended up winning a settlement after the civil case, and I was actually never paid out. I got $0 out of the settlement because my lawyer ended up getting disbarred. You can look her name up. Her name is Andrea David Vega.